The world is waiting and hoping that South Sudan can have lasting peace. Last week, the country's new national unity government appointed a 30-member cabinet. Here in the U.S., the Committee on Foreign Affairs held a congressional hearing on the prospects of peace and security for Africa's youngest nation. When South Sudan gained its independence on July 9, 2011, it elicited hope that the region's residents who had long suffered under the Khartoum regime were finally free and ready to build their own nation. But that excitement was short-lived. The last 5 years have seen untold suffering as their two leaders, President Salva Kiir and opposition leader Riek Machar, waged war against each other and divided the country. U.S. Representative Chris Smith is chairman of Subcommittee on Africa.
More than 2.4 million people have been displaced by the conflict just since December of 2013. 706,600 of them are now refugees in neighboring Sudan, Ethiopia, Uganda, and Kenya.
John Prendergast is founding director of the Enough Project. He testified on Capitol Hill on what he termed as one of the most acute humanitarian crises in the world. And he proposed targeted sanctions against those responsible for the violence and corruption in South Sudan.
Our inaction emboldens these folks to continue to commit atrocities on the ground. Violence is still occurring in a number of the states throughout South Sudan, regardless of the machinations politically in Juba. People need to be held accountable for that.
Ranking U.S. Representative Karen Bass visited South Sudan last November and gave an eyewitness account of the suffering the South Sudanese people have endured.
I saw and met victims of physical attacks and the internally displaced, all desperate for access to humanitarian assistance. I also heard about countless accounts of human rights abuses and about the degradation of women and their children in an environment where there appeared increasingly to be a lack of compassion.
Luka Byung-Deng Kuol is an associate professor at Juba University in South Sudan. Although there is a new unity government, he remains concerned about the possibility of another failed peace agreement between President Kiir and new first Vice President Riek Machar.
We may need to invest also in the two leaders, Salva and his Vice President, how to work together. The way that enter into this relationship is going to be very fragile.
Speaking to VOA, John Prendergast of the Enough Project expressed his frustration that in the 5 years that South Sudan has been an independent nation, its citizens have had nothing to celebrate for their independence.
Absolutely nothing has been done to build the infrastructure of the country. There's no service delivery of any significance to the people. The education system is broken. The health system is not delivering needed services.
Donald Booth, the U.S. Special Envoy to South Sudan, cautioned the new unity government that American support for the new peace deal must be accounted for.
The United States is ready to help the transitional government do right by its people. But we need to see that this government will not repeat past mistakes. We are coordinating with other international donors to ensure that any financial commitments in support of the transitional government will be conditioned on its acceptance of international oversight of its revenues and expenditures.
Moving forward as a unity government, there is a flicker of hope that the new leadership can put South Sudan on the path to prosperity and lasting peace.